Hey guys, this is Camfrey15. I'm back at it with another video for you guys. And I am back with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review. And man, the resolution, well, not really the accurate resolution, but we get the outcome in terms of the Class 1A side of things. In terms of the entire society on heroes, we have no clue on where that's going, but we're getting some things about what's apparently happening to some of our characters and stuff like that. Now, on the day of the Jakku hospital raid, at the same time it was happening, we see that there was a twice clone of Redestro, essentially saying that, you know, he was talking about essentially the fact that you guys did all this stuff and you tried all this, hard work to try to beat us and stuff like that. And guess what? You guys are still going to fail. And guess what? Your society's going to come crumbling down, and there's not a dang thing you can do to stop it, and stuff like that. And it's it's just going to show that hero society going forward is definitely going to be completely different compared to what it used to be before this whole war arc started and stuff like that. And speaking of villains and stuff like that, the villains and the other high-end nomus are essentially hitting up all these other prisons around Japan, releasing more dangerous inmates from like crazy things. And this is 6 hours after the attack on Tartarus and stuff like that. So they go to a prison, they go to Shien prison, Bagu prison, Kun prison. And this dialogue scene happens where, through the use of emergency aircraft that require an official biometric ID to operate, the escaped prisoners from the Tartarus and the near high ends proceed to attack 7 other prisons, freeing additional convicts from 6 of them, which is only going to frickin' increase their army and their followers and stuff like this. Now, we cut back to currently where I guess you can say the current League of Villain members are all huddled up at. And essentially, and this is still All For One in Shigarachi's body, saying the groundwork is laid. What a thrilling day we've had. The sudden rash of violent escapees should hamper the authorities pursuing me. So essentially, he's saying like, listen, because all the freaking inmates and convicts have been broken out of this prison, they won't focus on me as much as the next guy. Now Spinner comes up and he's like, dude, who are you, man? You're not the Shigarashi I remembered. We always used to talk video games and just a bunch of other stuff. You're not the type of guy I want to follow and stuff like that. And that's what All For One essentially says. Have no fear. I hold the greatest respect for Tomura's will. This body simply needs time to rest and be perfected. But once it is, our desires will come to fruition. Now, that whole thing, like I said, I still feel like All For One, definitely knew what he was doing. He wanted to take over Shigarachi's body because his body was much more younger. Now the question is, will Shigarachi fight back? That's the thing. And definitely, there has been people saying like, I think Shigarachi will eventually fight back and then he'll eventually kill All For One. The question is, are we going to see that happening? I can definitely see that happening where he has control for for a few minutes, and then he goes to confront All For One, and the only way to get him out of his head is to kill him. I just actually got done watching Truth Heroes review about this chapter a few minutes ago. And he said it in his video, like, Horikoshi's a big Star Wars fan. And the one thing even, Star Wars fans, a lot of Star Wars fans know is that, in order for an upcoming, Sith to be the next big bad ruler, is they're going to have to freaking kill their master. the dude who's at the top of the pecking order and stuff like that. And even though I never liked the freaking movie to begin with, but the thing happened with, I guess you can say in Episode 8 of Star Wars, when Snoke was essentially the Supreme Ruler, and freaking Kylo Ren killed him to try to become the new Supreme Ruler. And Episode 9 happened, but I'm not here to talk about Star Wars. But that could definitely happen. So could we be seeing a Shigarashi versus All For One fight? We could. It definitely would make perfect sense to do that, unless they go the direction that All For One has complete control of Shigarashi's body, and he's going to use it to his, pleasures, essentially. And maybe do it alongside his old body. We'll just have to see. Anyways, 2 days later, after all this incident's been happening, Bakugo reawakens in the hospital and stuff like that, and he's essentially asking what about Deku and Todoroki and stuff like that. He also does bring up about Endeavor, how Endeavor's at and stuff like that. Now, this one chicken nurse or chicken doctor essentially tells Aizawa that, him and both Gran Torino and even some other heroes, if they did not give them like attention right away, they could have possibly like ended up dead. But it seems like for the time being, Gran Torino is still alive. People are speculating that he might die in the next few chapters. We don't know. He could die. He might have to literally retire for the rest of his career being a hero. We'll just have to see stuff like that. So yeah. They also did hear the word about Midnight and the fact that she is dead. So obviously, for President Mike, that is breaking him and stuff like that. So yeah, Aizawa wanted to know how the kids were doing. Now we cut over to a room where it has Todoroki, whose face is all bandaged up. We later find out in the chapter too, like the dude's throat is essentially burned for the time being, that he can't talk. So it's like he can't express much of anything other than facial, emotions and stuff like that. But you have, Kirishima, Momo, crap. I'm trying to remember her name. Mina, Ashido. I keep forgetting the freaking arms guy, but yeah, you have him in the room, and essentially Todoroki looks outside, and there's just a lot of press, and the reason why the press is there is they just want to find out if everything that Dabi said on that one thing is true. Like people want to know what's going on with Endeavor. Like, is this all true and stuff like this? And they want to know really bad, and it's like, it's the press. You'd think the press would be considerate people to try to give people some, time and some time to heal. But obviously, in a hectic, period now where there's like crazy things happening, guess what? They can't get the word on the information. Momo and Mina are still broken from the Midnight Death, and stuff like that. They also do say that they saw about everything that happened about Endeavor and stuff like that. And Momo kind of tried to reassure him by saying it's going to be okay and stuff like that. So yeah. Now Todoroki, he essentially comes to the point and realizes that, Dabi is stronger than him, and the reason why he is stronger than him is because his flames are made of hate, which were similar back to him, which was essentially before, which was essentially, we knew Shoto Todoroki never liked his dad, and up until essentially part 1 of season 2, when Deku finally kind of made him change a bit and told him to realize, like, listen, dude, you can't, try to compare yourself to your dad. Use your powers in your own way and stuff like that. From the sports festival against Deku fight, he said, like, my flames were just like his, where I had hate in my flames and my powers and a hatred for my father. Even though, after some time I started to open up a bit and understand from where it's coming from and stuff like that. And that's when he comes to realization. He's like, my dad, my father, he can't fight Toya. I have to fight Toya, and I have to be the one to defeat him. So this sets the Shoto Todoroki, I guess, arc where Now it sets him up, which we all knew, this is going to be his big bad in the apparent final arc of My Hero Academia. Whenever that's going to come, that's going to be his big bad villain. He's going to fight and potentially, more than likely, finish his story off by taking down his brother Toya. It further hypes up the fact that people cannot wait to see the fight. The only thing with Todoroki is he's gonna have to get like abnormally stronger than he is now. Todoroki can't fight Toya as he is now because he's just too weak. It goes for all these hero characters. That's why I believe we're going to have to get a time skip. We're gonna have to get a time skip. After the incidents and after the resolution of everything that's going on here, we're gonna have to get a time skip where we see these heroes in training essentially train. And again, we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know if these freaking schools are gonna shut down for a period of time. Parents are gonna want to bring their kids back home because they're gonna freaking be like, no, we're not letting you be a pro hero after all this incident's going on and stuff like that. Now, Natsu and Funumi, Todoroki's big brother and sister, also show up at his hospital room. Now we see some silhouette of a person. My only guess who that could be is probably Todoroki's mom. That could only be the only, reasoning is that it's probably his mom coming to see him in the hospital. That's my only guess, which means I guess they finally let her out of her rehabilitation. The only question is, how is she going to be after finding out all this news about Dobby and everything? And when Endeavor wakes up, are they going to have a talk, like saying, is this true? And stuff like that. And maybe Endeavor will tell her the truth and stuff like that. So that could be another thing. Now, Bakugo essentially is storming on his way to what I presume is going to Deku's room. And essentially, Bakugo says, he's dead meat if he thinks he can die on me. And essentially what Sero says is that he says Todoroki and the others are conscious, at least, except for all of them. Midoriya has still shown signs that he is not waking up yet. And that's where the manga chapter ends off. And the next manga chapter won't hit till the last day of January, which is January 31st. And you see the panel where Deku is in just, my goodness, listen, we all know this dude's gonna eventually waken up. Like, it's his story. He said, like, he's gonna be the greatest hero, so we know he's going to wake up. Of course we know that's going to happen. The one question is, we see the image in the manga chapter. This man is like, his arms are completely wrapped up, like, from, shoulder to his friggin' hands. They're all wrapped up in a cast. His legs are in a cast. His legs are all propped up. The dude, and we don't know what the repercussions for Deku's actions, in the last fight doing for going all out. Again, people have said he could lose lots of his arms and stuff like that. Obviously, you have All Might at his bedside and stuff like that. Now, his mom is nowhere to be found. People have been speculating in the last couple of weeks that his mom could potentially have been killed because of Gigantomachia going through the different cities trying to get to Shigarashi. Now, I'll say this. If she isn't dead, I've said this in past videos. If she isn't dead, she's definitely more than likely, the first time maybe she let it slide, but this time I feel like she will have no hesitation and she'll be like that. She'll be like, Izuku, you're freaking coming home and you're staying home. Your days of being a pro hero are done and stuff like that. And eventually it's going to come to a point, and who knows, maybe it comes to a point where Deku, in order to convince his mom, if, his mom shows up, he'll maybe have to tell his mom the truth about One for All and what he has to do with that power and stuff like that, and how much, he needs to go out there again and be a hero. This also goes to you to show that, Deku, he's not only gonna have to train more, but he will more than likely be a different hero. And also, too, he's gonna have to probably take his approach to fighting villains differently. And what I mean by that is he can't be forcing his body to go all out. He's going to have to maybe, you know, think about his own body, even, you know, or his own self before he thinks about anybody else. And maybe this is too when we're going to get another, I guess you can say, inner monologue vestige scene, because it seems like he's in a coma of some sorts. He might get an inner monologue vestige scene with the other vestiges, and maybe the other vestiges will tell him, like, dude, you know, we've given you this power. You're probably the most talented person we've had, you know, we've had in this whole power line of One for All. And maybe they tell him, listen, you can't wreck your body like this, you know, and stuff like that. Again, we all know Aries' whole thing of her rewind can probably revert Deku back, but some people will say maybe they might not like that. Personally, if they do that, it won't bother me. As long as they don't use Aries as a trope like over and over and over again to heal Deku, I think it'll be fine. But maybe they can have Aries rewind him and just make it take him as a warning by saying, hey, this is the last time you can use Aries as a function to heal yourself. If you damage yourself any further, you have to get your own help. You're gonna have to do the thing the medical way and heal your own way. But yeah, that's where the manga chapter ends off, and I feel like maybe next week we might get a vestige inner monologue scene in his head, and stuff like that. So yeah, as well as maybe Bakugo going to his bedside. But it definitely seems like the resolutions of the arcs are happening. You know, again, I still feel like we're gonna get a time skip. Some of the heroes might have to relocate to a different country, preferably probably America, and train there and get stronger, and then come back to Japan after being trained and much more stronger to save the country and essentially, you know, stop All for One and Shigarashi. Again, we're just gonna have to see how this story keeps going forward. Again, I'm shocked that we have not had a break yet so far. We got another week break. So essentially we'll be back next week or next Sunday. So yeah, but other than that, that's kind of it. All I gotta say for My Hero Academia, preferably kind of short chapter in grand scheme of things to read, but still, I would say mid-level content we got here. But other than that, that's all I gotta say. So if you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on this manga chapter review, as well as hit the subscribe button to get more My Hero Academia. More My Hero Academia content. Until then, guys, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or night or whenever you turn on this video, and hopefully you guys are staying safe out there. Peace.